So, as some of you guys know, as most of you know, Kano stormed off set due to the fact that he had an issue with one of the storylines. So he was angry about it and he stormed off set. And it's got me thinking about some of the possibilities as to why this is the case. And I'm going to bring out a few possibilities here. And I'm going to base it off past actions from Kano. As most of you may know, Kano had an issue with some of the storylines in season 3. The storyline that was written where Deshane, his character, he decided to call the police on Jamie, set up the whole plan to call the police on Jamie and get Jamie arrested. And that plan also involved Steph and Axe. I'm not going to go into the whole details of the plan. That's that you guys know if you watch season 3, and I'm not gonna me delving into that a lot. That'll just make this video longer than necessary. But yeah, that plan involved Steph, it involved Axe, and ultimately Deshane managed to put Jamie in prison. And as we saw in the show, Sully was totally against that, and he voiced out to Deshane that he was against that. He even said to Deshane, yeah, we may win, but I don't want to win this way. I'm paraphrasing, but that's ultimately what he said. And he was against that whole plan. He didn't like the fact that Steph and Axe were involved. He didn't like the fact that the plan involved the feds snitching to them. So because of all of that, Sully and Deshane, they disagreed about that, and Sully told him his perspective that he wasn't happy about that. But initially, that's not the way it was written. That's not the way it was written. And Kano said that in an interview, I think a year ago or the year before. If I can find the interview, guys, I'll put the link in the description for those of you that haven't watched that interview. But in an interview, and not an interview, like a podcast, in a podcast he said, I'm going to paraphrase it, but he pretty much said that he wasn't happy with that storyline, and because it went against Sully's principles, and Sully hadn't shown any signs of involving the feds or getting youngers involved up until that point. And he had just lost his friend, who was like a little brother to him, who was also a kid, who also knew from when he was a kid, etc., in Jason. So because of all of that, because of the culmination of all of that, and because it went against Sully's principles, especially the fact that he involved the feds and he didn't want to get kids involved, because of all of that, that's why Kano said that it didn't make sense for Sully's character to be on board with Deshane with that whole storyline. And so initially, like I said, the writers wanted Sully and Deshane to be on the same page with that whole thing, that whole storyline of snitching Jamie out to the feds, getting Steph and Axe involved. They wanted Sully and Deshane to be both on the same page with that, both agree with that, etc. They wanted to be both of their ideas. But because Kano voiced his frustration about that storyline, and he said that he wasn't happy with it because it's not something that Sully would do, the writers changed that storyline. And that's why when we saw in the final product, Sully was totally against that whole storyline and that whole plan. Sully was totally against that plan, and he told Deshane that, look, this is not right. We shouldn't be getting kids involved. We shouldn't be getting the feds involved. He said that he wasn't happy with this, even though he won. Like, he's not happy winning this way, etc., etc. That's what he pretty much said to Deshane. But it's interesting how the writers would change that whole storyline from Sully being on the same page with Deshane to Sully being opposed to Deshane. So it shows the level of power that Kano actually has within Top Boy. The fact that the writers are willing to change change parts of the storyline simply because Kano wasn't happy about it. But that leads me all to say this. Could it be something similar here? Could it be a plot issue as to why Kano stormed off set? And if it is a plot issue, I've got some, I want to say, possibilities as to what the issue could be. One of them is that perhaps the writers wanted Kano to kill Steph. That's one possibility. And let me clarify here, I'm not saying this is definitely the case. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's a possibility, that's all. And one reason why I say it's a possibility is because, as we know, Steph is probably going to be on the hunt, on the look for Sully. He saw Sully's face as Sully murdered his older brother. We know how much he loved Jamie. And they were giving us hints in the last season that Steph is going to be deeper in the game. So he's going to be on the hunt for Sully, as we know. So it's not outside the realms of possibility to suggest that the writers want Sully to kill Steph. And so if that's the case, I can see why Sully would be against that, because I can see why Kano would be against that, because as we know in the past, Kano has been against. If Kano's against the storyline, he's not afraid to say so. And if a certain storyline goes, if a certain action of Sully goes against Sully's principles, Kano's not afraid to say so. So if the writers wanted Sully to do this, we know Kano would definitely voice it and say, no, like I'm not for this, I'm against this. And we also know that Sully isn't on the whole killing youngest thing. He's not really on that. He didn't even want to get Steph and Axe involved, and that was, like I said earlier, that was due to Kano voicing his frustration about that storyline. So that Kano himself doesn't want Sully involving youngers into this whole business. So if they wanted Sully to kill Steph, we know for a fact that Kano would be against that. That's just what I want to say. Another possibility as well, another plot issue possibility that Kano may have had is possibly they may have wanted Sully to kill the Shane. Again, it goes against Sully's principles, so if that is the case, Kano would be against it. And they haven't really shown any hints that Sully would do something like that, like kill the Shane. I know they had their arguments early on in season 4, but they're brothers. I mean, they're going to argue and fight from time to time, but they'll be cool at the end of the day. So yeah, if they wanted something like that to happen, if the writers wrote something like that, I can see Kano being against that. But those are just the plot issues that I wanted to outline, that are just, again, possibilities. I'm not saying either of these is the case. I'm not saying either of these situations is actually happening. I'm just saying these are possibilities as to what the writers may have initially written that Kano was against. I'm not saying this is definitely happening, but there's just some potential plot issues that could be happening right now. Could be. Another thing I want to mention as well is that if it's not a plot issue, it could be something deeper. I alluded to this in my other video regarding this topic, and that's that maybe they wanted Kano to do something sus, especially with the way certain things are going right now. Again, it's not outside the realms of possibility that they wanted, again, I might have said Kano earlier, I mean they may have wanted Sully, his character, to do something a bit sus. Again, I'm not saying this is the case at all, just putting it out there as a possibility. But that's what I want to outline in this video. Those are all the points I really wanted to mention, just potential plot storylines that may be occurring right now, possibly that Kano himself may have an issue with. And yeah, like, those are just some of my thoughts. Guys, put your thoughts in the comment section below. If you've liked this video, hit the like button. Definitely I want anyone that's liked this video, hit that like button. I want the likes to be up on this video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't as well. Definitely hit the subscribe button if you like my content. And yeah, that's it for this video, so in a bit.